Hey, I'm Pascal from Orangepixel and welcome to another video. For you, this is probably just another video, but for me it's been a long time since I recorded a video and sat behind my computer working. Last week's video will explain a lot. I've been moving stuff around from my wife's store to a storage box as we closed down the store. Check last week's video, which is this one. This week I also want to talk about my website. Been tinkering on that a little bit, so there's interesting stuff there. And I have done a little bit of work on Gauntlet of Power, Heroes of Loot 3. So that's something we're going to talk about as well. It's just been a long time since I did this. Last week's video was recorded during the moving. The two videos before that were recorded back to back 3 weeks ago. So it's been a while. Welcome back. Welcome to myself, welcoming myself back, and welcome. Yeah, you've never left, or it was just me. This is getting difficult to understand. Let's just do the intro, talk about the website, talk about Heroes of Loot 3, and there's a new demo available of that game. We got some stuff to talk about. Okay, first thing I want to talk about is the website. That's the only thing I've been tinkering on in between the moving. The only thing I had energy for, just tinkering left and right. Talked about the website a few weeks ago, or maybe a month ago now, that I still think a website is important, especially with things happening to Twitter and other social media, and things just everybody dives onto it and then everybody moves away from it. So where do you keep your stuff? I think my own website is the safest place, so I've been slowly trying to build this into a hub-like thing. So let me just show you some images right now. The front page, been tinkering with that a lot, actually mimicked a lot from the blog of PlayStation. They had these things, and I had this big first post and then a couple of smaller ones, and I'm showing you the latest press releases, which is interesting to see what I've been releasing. By the time this video goes live, there should be a new press release about Groundskeeper 2, which goes live later today as I record this on Friday the 19th of May. Groundskeeper 2 is landing on Atari VCS. There will be a little press release about that. Underneath that we have the latest posts, and yeah, this front page is completely custom made. There is no theme in WordPress that has this, so I had to do some coding and all that stuff, but I think it looks pretty amazing and pretty awesome. I'm very happy with it, and I'm now trying to create this hub-like thing for it. There will also be new posts coming, and I've been dropping them almost every Monday. It won't happen every Monday, but for now it's been every Monday that I came up with a topic to talk about, and just some Monday musings, things I think about as I read the news about game development, and then usually tie it into my own games and projects, because this is still my own Orangepixel website. It's about Orangepixel, about the games I make, and just interesting articles, sometimes very short, sometimes a little bit longer, and sometimes there will not be an article at all. But it keeps the website updated and interesting. Now, besides that, I have also added this little support thing. I don't think I had it last time, but this is like a Wikipedia of all my games, and there is unlockable character information there and a bunch of other things. I already started Regulator City, so right now you can read up on the two characters, or two of the characters that are in the game. And there will be some information there, and I'm also going to be adding all that information for Heroes of Loot as I work on the game, which makes it a lot easier for me to remember and create GIFs and interesting images and just have all the facts straight as I implement these things into the game. So if you want to know how to unlock a character in Gunslugs 3, then you just go over here, and information is there. There will be more images added over time. But for now, there's a lot of stuff here. There's also Sir Questionnaire, all the characters, the items, the monsters. Just a lot of data and information is there if you need help with stuff. If you need to figure out what certain monsters are, then you can just go over here, look it up. Earth region, all the monsters that appear in the Earth region. Yeah, this all comes out of my game. I created little pieces of code in these games, in some of these games, so Space Grunts also had it, I think, and that piece of code will just dump the images and information. Or this is just all game statistics, game data that the game needs, and I just made it readable for the website, and just a press of a button will completely recreate this page. I can then upload it to the website and have all this information there. The same goes for Space Grunts, all the monsters. This is just the game's database, the images used in the game, then with the description and the name that also is built into the code, and a press of the button will just generate all this information, which is still a pretty good way to create a database or Wikipedia or whatever information. And you can of course find stuff here. Maybe we can find something about the ooze. Yeah, the ooze appears in different games, obviously because the ooze is the big bad guy in the Orangepixel universe. Let's just see, somewhere is ooze mentioned in one of the missions in Ashworld. Ooze. Need some weird conducting ooze. So this already mentioned the ooze before it really got big in Residual. So yeah, this is the database. So if you need support with any of my games, then come check it out. It's all on the website. And one of the few things I've been doing is create a second character for Heroes of Loot. Of course, there are the four main characters, the Elf, the Warrior, the Wizard, and the Valkyrie. Up to this point, I only had the Elf. I based its animation on the animation or the character from Residual, which just had this great running animation, and I figured I could use that for this game. How I create the next characters are pretty simple. I grab this base character, the Elf, and start to redraw it, create a new face for it, and then change the colors of its body, and here and there a little bit of the body shape, and we end up with a second character. So let's just, I recorded this already, so let me just talk about it as it happens. It's speeded up by 800%, so this is not how fast I draw, but it's still done pretty fast. Let's just go. First thing I did was grab a couple of the right colors. I usually use a limited palette so that the game has a certain look and feel and uses the same colors everywhere. This time I'm using Jason Mercado's palette. I think you can find it online if you Google for it. This was one of the first things I did this week, and I had some trouble getting into it. Just the face and stuff, it was, I mean, it looks like I did it in just one take, but it took a lot of time to get it right, and just little details and things. I'm starting with the idle animation, because if that looks good, you can pretty much turn it into all the other animations. The main thing is getting the proportions right of the body and the legs, and I've been testing a lot of it as well in between, just figuring out that I wasn't really into it. I could have done this a lot easier just testing it in GIMP in the art program. But like I said, I had a hard time getting back into game development this week. So it was just messing around and then changing colors a little bit more, changing details a little bit more, until I got it right. Eventually the idle animation was looking good and the pose was looking good. I like the character's face. It's really, the warrior is a little bit like a dwarf maybe, in my mind at least. So it's a little bit bulkier and stumpier than the elf, and that has to show in the character. The original Heroes of Loot character was had a red helmet, but since the new artwork now has this grayish helmet with some red in it, I kind of like that. So we're just changing him a little bit for this version, or the third game in the trilogy, and that's gonna be the warrior. So a lot of animation. Once the idle animation is done and I have the details in there, it's just gonna be copy and pasting the head onto all the other animation frames. The key thing is to keep in mind that in certain running animations the head is lower than in others. So if you just keep that correctly, and the legs can just move around. Wow, that went very well sentenced. The legs can just stay the same for all characters, although I have also done the wizard, and I think the wizard shouldn't be running, he should just be walking. So that might actually be a different walking animation, but for now I'm just having the same walking and running animation as every other character. You'll notice I gave the feet, or the boots, the color first. It's a very bright contrast compared to the rest, because I think those are the things you actually notice when running around. You will notice those bright spots of the legs, and that will keep the animation going. At least I think that's, for me, that works. So I usually have a very a brighter colored foot or leg part or pixel moving around, so that when things are moving at high speed, then it looks good, or at least the player will recognize those feet. So yeah, like I said, it's just creating or copying and pasting the head onto the existing animations. And this is apparently where I stopped recording it. So I also did the final couple of animations, the falling down and the sliding. And let me just show you a little bit of the gameplay now with that character in there. And I also show you a little bit of the warrior, the wizard, which I also created but didn't record it. It was pretty much the same process. I'm not really happy with it just yet. The wizard doesn't look, I don't know, I might change it a little bit more, but for now it's a good character, and my main focus was on their weapons. So let me just show you gameplay of Gauntlet of Power. Here we go. This is going very smoothly, isn't it? Yeah, gameplay.
Wizard leveled up. Warrior leveled up. Warrior leveled up.
So my main focus for this new demo, which should now be live as this video is live on Steam, so check it out, description should have a link. The demo, my main focus was on making the weapons more interesting. Pretty much latest or last demo, all the weapons were just flying, maybe a little movement, but most of them were just flying in a direction. And all the weapons were a little bit samey, let's just call it that. If that's a word, samey, yeah. They were pretty much the same, just look different. Now they are much different. The axe has a different movement pattern. The arrows are now auto aiming towards the nearest enemy, which is a very interesting thing to have. Magic, I struggled with that one for a bit, but right now the magic flies towards an enemy. If it hits that enemy, it will create like a sort of shockwave, pushing everything that's still alive in that area away. So that also gives you a way to kill enemies, but also get them away from you, especially as the wizard is somewhat slower as a character. It's a good feature to have, a good magic that pushes away the enemies. Finally, the knives. Valkyrie's base weapon will be multiple knives flying at once, and they have just a lot of strength. And every character has its own base weapon. So Elf has the arrows, Wizard has magic, the axe is for the warrior, and Valkyrie has knives. And if it's your base weapon, it will be stronger. So the axe will kill more enemies and fly a little bit further if the warrior throws it than when the elf or wizard does it. And if you are shooting magic as a wizard, it's a lot more powerful than when the elf does it. You can still mount those weapons on your Gauntlet of Power. If it's not your base weapon, it will just be a little bit weaker. Also, running speed of the characters is different. The elf is quick, the Valkyrie is a little slower, and warrior and wizard are notably slower. But you can of course then also upgrade their walking speed based on upgrades you find in the game. This is pretty much how I'm trying to slowly build this into different characters and have different classes, and depending on what you like as a player, you might like to move around a little bit slower, then you can go for those slow characters or for fast characters, or you might like a weapon, prefer a certain weapon above other weapons, things like that. And in my mind this is still a pretty tiny game, so I'm not going overboard with statistics and all that stuff. That's not the game for it. Just some variations in characters, interesting enough. The weapons, right now every level of weapon, because you can upgrade weapons, every level they look the same, but there will be visual changes. Like the axe might become like a very big axe. The arrows will also change as you level them up, and the magic it will be visually interesting to just level up these items as well. And one of the things that I need to start working on is boss fights. So right now we have a boss room in every dungeon, but it doesn't really have a boss or anything in it. It's just more enemies for you to kill. So I will have to implement bosses. Luckily for Heroes of Loot, I can grab them from part 2. This is part 3, so I can grab them for part 2 and recreate them for part 3. So we'll have a flame head dude, and we have the big skull guy, and we have the ghoul, and the Minotaur is coming back, and the orcs and all those type of characters will be back. And I might change them and upgrade them, and I might invent a couple of new ones to build into this world. But I'm gonna be working on a lot of boss battle type things, because Regulator City, my plan for that game is to work on boss fights. So gonna be doing a lot of boss pixel art pushing and code stuff in the coming weeks, I guess. So yeah, anyway, that's it for this week's video. Hope you enjoyed it. There wasn't a lot of stuff done, but that's just because I had a very short week with still working on the moving, and then we had a national holiday on Thursday, and I think the website was little things here and there, and then the work on the characters was just maybe 2 afternoons of work. So next week hopefully I'll have a lot more to show. Also, Regulator City is in game round, in current beta testing phase, going through all of that. Check the Orangepixel website for information on that. So I'm guessing I'm gonna get feedback on that game, and based on that I will be possibly changing or tweaking Regulator City again next week. And yeah, still have a lot of plans for that as well. So that's hopefully gonna be next week's project. Regulator City, dive back into it. I left it at a certain spot where I can easily jump back into things like the boss fights, but also a couple of other features that I was working on. So I don't have to think about what to do. I can just dive straight in. All I need is a little bit of time. Oh, I really need a lot of time. Alright, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment below, hop on the Orangepixel Hub website and jump on the Discord to talk about stuff, and I'll see you next week. Bye.
Warrior leveled up.